Hey everybody, Nick here, and today got some disassembly and maintenance to be done. This little guy right here, this is from Peña Knives, a brand new model whose name is currently escaping me, but you know what? It's sure is gonna be in the video description. Or maybe it'll show up in my brain as I'm filming this review. But anyways, let's go on ahead and take this bad boy apart. Right now, the centering is very slightly favoring the show side, and it is running a little bit tight. I have taken this very partially apart to take a look at what was going on right here, but I never did a full cleanup of it, and, well, I very much need to. So we'll go on ahead and take this apart. We are looking at a T8. No, that's T8. No, that's T8. Good Lord, I'm out of practice. So we're going to take this guy apart here, and then should be able to get... Ooh. How am I removing this other side? Do I have to take off the clip? I think I have to take off the clip here. So I'll take off the clip. The reason I say that is that I bet that underneath this piece of micarta here is going to be... Oh, that does go there. There's going to be another screw, but in order to get underneath that piece of micarta, I need to remove the clip. And then, once I've done this, hopefully everything will come popping loose. Maybe? Ah, there we go. Whoa, okay. So there's the pivot collar. And then underneath here, it looks like we've got a T6 here. One interesting thing that we've got here is an internal lock bar insert on a titanium liner lock. This is new. I've never seen something quite like this. That's really cool. I have no need to take it apart. These screws don't need to come out. This is just a continuous piece at this point in time. But it is really neat to see a liner lock with a lock bar insert. It's just going to reduce lock stick, other kinds of things. So that's cool. But okay, let's go on ahead and put this guy right here. And we'll put those little screws on my little mat here in order. And by the way, if you're curious about this or any of the other tools that are being used for today's disassembly, go ahead and check out nickshabazz.com/tools. I have a whole website up. All right, let's go ahead and pop this loose. Okay, and this little bit right there is what's keeping this from popping open, because it needs to slide up sort of vertically rather than, yeah. So what I'm actually going to have better luck doing here is to push this side back down again and then gently lift sort of from both sides to get up over this, post here. I could also, in theory, remove the other scale, but I'd have to remove the pivot first. I don't know that I want to do that. So instead, I'm just going to kind of sneak up on this little post here and just very gently lift the whole thing off. Yeah, you can see it's lifting up gently, slowly but surely. I'm gaining a little bit more height there. I can go ahead and grab a little... Oh, come off it. I thought I had one of those guys around. I have recently redone my tray for disassembly tools, and I'm realizing that I may have left something out of it, or maybe I'm just... Well, at the very least, I'll use the back of this little spudger tool to pop this guy open and just kind of lift. The nice part about this being plastic is that there is... Oh, okay, cool. Well, that's good. Now I can just lift off this way. That'll make life easier. Now we take this off, and everything is disassembled, and we are good to go. So we can see exactly how this works. It looks to be the case that there are screws going in on both sides here. Inside this lock bar insert is the detent ball. Nice. Okay. And everything in here looks good to go. This pivot felt like it was not free spinning. And in fact, it may be captive. Like it doesn't really want to go anywhere. Let's... Yeah, either it is fixed in place or it is functionally fixed in place. Either way, it's not free spinning, so that's good. No complaints there. And we are fully apart here, so let's go ahead and start cleaning things off here, using some rubbing alcohol here to get everything kind of cleaned off. Everything seems to be nicely milled in here. No real complaints. That's good. Go ahead, clean off the bearing races here, as well as the detent ball, as well as the lock face there. Go ahead and clean off the pivot, as well as the washer to the other side of it. That's going to be important. Make sure everything goes freely, and then make sure to clean off this washer here, which makes sure that the bearings are running against steel rather than tie. One of those things that's certainly not crucial, but certainly also welcome. Looks like this side does have the groove worn in it, so I'll go ahead and reinstall it there. Then finally, I'm going to go ahead and clean off the bearings, put a little bit more rubbing alcohol, and then it falls over onto my table. That's cool. But anyways, and just clean up these bearings a little bit. They're not particularly dirty. This guy actually has been getting some carry. I am a little bit behind in terms of filming disassemblies because my life has been nuts. Nuts in a good way, right? A lot of things have been going quite well, but that doesn't mean it's not a little nutty on occasion, right? Particularly at work, I've just had a lot on my plate. And so it occasionally makes it difficult for me to find time to sit back and film a full disassembly. So instead what will happen is what has happened of late, where I will carry things in their factory state, knowing that I will have to do a disassembly and knowing that that may change my view, but where I kind of do a lot of the carrying before I go about doing the disassembly, so that well, at the very least, I know how I feel about it, and I can film a little bit sooner after the disassembly, so to speak. So, looks like that's going back together. I did put a bearing on the other side. Yes, at a moment of uncertainty there. So, gone ahead, done that. I'm going to go ahead and drop a little bit of knife pivot lube here into this detent ball hole here. That way, that should distribute itself over time. A little bit right there, a little bit right here. And now we'll put this bearing in, rotate it around a little bit. Now it's time to put everything back together. So what I will do instead of... So again, what I'm looking for here, I'll see if I can show it to you. On this side, there's really nothing along the top of this, but if I flip this bad boy over, yeah, you can see the faintest little hint of the where the bearings roll right there. And so if the bearings have already started to form a path there, I'm going to go ahead and put this back in that position, so that I'm not taking, so that I'm not losing that. Oh, this is a blind hole. I just realized that. The stop-in hole is blind on this model. It's kind of interesting. But okay, my goal now is going to be to very slowly sort of massage this scale. You know what? It's silly, but I'm actually going to put a little tiny bit of lubrication onto this little hole here. That'll help, ideally, this go down a little bit smoother, and boy, it sure did. All is well that ends well, and I'm not concerned about it coming out or anything because there's no screw hole or anything like that. This goes into a hole on the other side here. By the way, it's also worth noting that the micarta here is actually, they've milled out a little pocket for both these as well as for this. So this is helping to stabilize, this pin is actually stabilizing the micarta in the back alongside the clip screws, which is nice. Which also means that in theory, no, you would have to have the clip installed on this guy in order to do this. I mean, maybe if you just screw right into the micarta, but either way, yeah, but that's nice. That means that the micarta isn't going to rotate off on its own. Have I put everything I need to in there? Have I lubricated everything? Okay, yeah, here we go. All right, so, oh... I'm an idiot. Yeah, these guys, as I'm sure many of you were shouting at your phone, computer, and or television, yeah, I need to reinstall the freaking internal screws. The question of whether I actually need a little bit of thread locker on here is a valid one, right? Because in practice, these can't go anywhere, right? They cannot loosen. They are up against the micarta. And if they do loosen, it's sort of non-catastrophic. They can't fall out, but I am still just going to go on ahead and do it just to make sure everything stays sort of where I need it to. Okay, now we can go now we can go ahead and drop the micarta onto there. How do I want to do this first? I probably want to do the pivot first. So I'll go ahead, I will grab the pivot, I will take a little bit of thread lock, drop it into the here, and we will Slip that down onto there. Beautiful. Okay, I actually feel like I might have just nailed the action on the first go, but let's double check. No, little blade play, so I can tighten that up a little bit. Oh, that is smoother. All right. That's maybe a little too tight. The centering is pretty much dead on, maybe slightly favoring show. Again, so let's loosen slightly. That's so close to dead on, I don't care. Yeah, that's... Can I loosen that any further? I don't think I can, but let's give it a shot. Yeah, I just introduced the slightest bit of play, so I'm going to go ahead and tighten it back up a little bit further. No play. Centering, like I said, is functionally dead on. I'm sure somebody retentive enough could get in there and measure with some fancy metrological solution, but I sure don't have it, and I sure don't care. So I'll go ahead, I'll put some thread locker on the this guy right here. Drop the screw in place, and go ahead and do the same thing. On the top, it is worth noting that I did not fully tighten the bottom part before putting in the top, because these two screws need to kind of align themselves relative to the holes. So now I can go back through and tighten, tighten, tighten. These are very, very shallow screws, unfortunately. Just meaning there's not a lot of depth to them. So you want to make sure you're using a relatively clean Torx bit here. Otherwise, you're going to have yourself a bad time. That looks pretty tight on there. And yeah, we are good to go. Centering, maybe very, very slightly favoring show. Either way, about where we started. So I think we are all set. There you go. That is your that is your Peña, and I will well, put up this video and you'll see the name of it there. But anyways, hope this has been interesting to you, and have yourselves an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.